Sorry, everybody. I had a technical glitch. The Wi-Fi wasn't very cooperative. So those of you that are, yes. So let's continue where I know where we left off. Oh yeah. So, what triggered conflict with others? Hey, only one Angela. We got disconnected. I apologize for that. I am Coach Sam Lett. I'm a trauma and mindset coach here in Santa Barbara, California. So we are. If you want to watch my. You can watch the other part of it on my IG, on my feed. So what we were talking about is what triggered conflict with others, and was it ego based? Like, did your ego get in the way of the conflict that you got involved in with a coworker or somebody? Be really honest with yourself, okay? Be really honest with the things that weren't going well for you, like the arguments that you had with people that are important to you. Hey, Fit Mom Sonia, welcome. Be honest with the people that you love and the people that you work with. When you're sitting down and taking a inventory on your emotional health, how did you react to certain difficult situations? If it caused you distress and you're still thinking about it today, for 2019, the best thing to do is to really take a look at how you can change. Maybe it's being more patient with your coworker that maybe is just new at the job or is having difficulties. Maybe it's being a better listener. Maybe it's being more patient with yourself in your plan. Because, the greatest things in life take time and are challenging. It takes time. And I know you got bills to pay, and you got kids to feed, and you got a mortgage payment, all these other stressors. But you're not going to make that great living, and you're not going to have all the things that you want if your emotional health and if your mental health is not where it should be. And that's where I said before earlier in my IGT Live podcast, whatever you call this thing, that the most important piece of your life plan for 2019, when you're putting together what you want to happen, your New Year's resolutions, whatever you want to call it, for 2019, is that your emotional and mental health is better than it was in 2018. What kind of things can you change? What does the blueprint look like? Right? How can I be a better listener? How can I have more compassion for the people around me? In another blog, video blog I did, we talked about changing your mindset and looking at potentially stressful situations differently. I gave the example of when I was driving on the freeway a couple weeks ago, and an anxious driver who's speeding and driving recklessly cut me off on the freeway. And my initial reaction was get angry, right? My initial reaction was, this guy's a jerk. This guy is dangerous. This guy, is an asshole. But then I took a second and stepped back, and I said, well, maybe this guy's rushing. Hi, Kathy. Maybe this guy that cut me off on the freeway is rushing to the hospital to see his son who is ill and doesn't have much time to live. Even if that's not true, even if that's not what's happening, have more compassion for the people you drive with on the freeway. Have more compassion for the people around you in your life, even if they did you wrong. Now the toxic people, the people that have a reoccurring pattern. Hey, Lil Ben, welcome. Have a reoccurring pattern of not being good for you. Have done things that have been hurtful. And there's a pattern there. Those are the people that you want to cut out of your life. But part of having real agency and really being the director of your own mental health plan is not going to a therapist and thinking that they're going to just in a couple sessions, you're going to be like this, immaculate, self-actualized, empowered human being. They're there as a shepherd. Like me as a coach, I'm the catalyst for my clients. I empower my clients to see the world from a different angle. Because maybe we're looking at things in your life in a negative fashion. Maybe we're just looking and taking a negative spin on things and not really seeing the big picture and say, you know what, maybe there's a different way of looking at a conflict situation. Just like my example with the freeway and the reckless driver. It all is connected. If you can have a better understanding of what your mental and emotional health needs are for 2019, your physical health will improve, your relationships will improve, your financial health will improve. All these things will begin to fall into place. But you got to start now. For those of you that missed the questions that I asked you all to write down, you can go back to my my live video that's on my page. I think that's all I have. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you have a wonderful new year that's full of success and happiness and fulfillment, and that you take care of yourself first. You take care of your own emotional needs first, because just like when you're flying and you're on an airplane, they say put the oxygen mask on yourself first, then before you put it on your child or the person next to you. The same thing goes with your own emotional health. It's really important, bless you, it's really important that you see yourself as this vessel that attracts whatever you're putting out. So if you've been angry and negative and you've had some trauma and you've had some terrible things happen this year for you, you got to send an end date for that. Okay? If you're in the stages of grief now, maybe you had a major loss, right? Well, obviously your mental health is suffering because of it. You know, but no therapist is going to be able to get you out of your way when it comes to healing. You will eventually heal, but being a really good curator of your own emotional mental health is all about really putting a plan together, putting a blueprint together, as I talked about earlier. And if you can do that very simply, write down what things do I need to improve on and how I interact with others. Maybe I was too reactive with my coworker. Maybe I was too short with my employer. Maybe I was not really listening to my kids and really hearing what they need. But most importantly, maybe I'm not doing that for myself and what I need. Right? What do you all need as human beings walking on this planet, this molten rock that we all have a limited time on? What are you doing for your own emotional self-care? You know, again, you can go to 14 different therapists and think that they have this panacea, this they're going to wave their magic wand and they're just going to cure you. It's okay to be this perfectly imperfect human being on this planet. But if you're suffering right now, and if you're dealing with some major life issues right now, the first step is creating an inventory of things that you need to work on. Because ultimately, even if the other person, even if you got into a lot of conflict this year with coworkers or with your family, hey Dave Barish, how are you, man? Hey Austin, thank you for joining. Even if they started the argument or they started the conflict, or your bank misappropriated your funds or something happened with your credit card and it's their fault, you know, the way you react to a difficult situation is really going to be, it will set that metric up for how successful you are in navigating through it. And I know, look, this is not idealized stuff, because when we're in the middle of a conflict situation, what's happening? We got the noradrenaline going, we have this overactive limbic system, we are in fight or flight mode, you know, we're there to be defensive and point fingers at everybody else, but we're not taking responsibility for our responsibility in the conflict, even if it's not our fault. And that's a hard thing for human beings to really accept, because a lot of us work off ego. You know, you don't have to be this woke, you know, conscious, you know, go to Burning Man and you know, live on you know, with the Maharishi to really understand what it is to let go of the ego and be present and practice mindfulness and be really centered in yourself. So you do have a successful experience in this life. So you do have financial success. So you do have great relationships with others. You know, the ego is a motherfucker. Ego is really what gets in the way between having a successful relationship. You know, because we live in this society where men have to be strong and stoic and be the alpha male and take care of business and fix things. But that's not really how you're going to get the things you want in 2019. You got to let go of the ego. You got to take an inventory of the situations that you got yourself involved in and how you handle these conflicts, how you handle these arguments, how you handle these difficult situations, whether it was dealing with divorce, whether it was dealing with your children and issues with school, whether it's dealing with your boss or your coworker, whether it's dealing with your parents or your family members. Ultimately, you have to first take responsibility for your role in the conflict, and that's all part of putting together a healthy emotional and mental health program. From Thank You Through the Wave. Isn't IGTV Live so cool? Thank you, Instagram. This is badass, and I love doing this for all of you, and I love being of service to all of you, and I love being able to be that purveyor of wisdom, hopefully wisdom and light for all of you, and hopefully some of these nuggets have been helpful. But as someone asked earlier in this IGTV Live about the blueprint will manifest itself if you sit down in a quiet room and you take an hour out of your busy day and you write down the things that you did not handle well in your relationships. Because ultimately, as hard as it is for all of you to hear this, it's your fault. Even if it's their fault, it's your fault. Because when we feel wronged, when we feel like we've been stepped on, when we feel we've been lied to or cheated on or all these things, it's how you react, as you all know, to that negative situation that ultimately will have a bearing on how you feel about yourself and how you really treat yourself. Because someone who betrays you, someone who cheats on you, someone who steals from you, what is the universe telling you? What is Spirit telling you? What is the universe? There are learning lessons in that space between whatever bad thing that has happened to you in 2018 and what things you're going to do to change that in 2019. I want to be where you are one day. Oh, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you so much. That is very sweet. So, you have some of these nuggets. What are you going to do about it? Huh? What are you going to do about it, punk? No, I'm kidding. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to change things in 2019? If you first feed yourself and engage in self-care, which means that you take responsibility for the things that have gone wrong in your life, even if it's not you that, did these things to you. Because when you play that victim, playing a victim is toxic. Playing a victim amplifies the monkey mind and gets you out of the world and back in your head, in the monkey mind. It's a pretty dark world up here in the mind. If you get stuck in your head and you start obsessing about what went wrong in your life in 2018 and you say, woe is me, it's my fault. Well, yes, it is your fault, even though it's not your fault. And if you can accept the fact that even that you are attracting these things, look, I'm not going to sell law of attraction stuff. If that works for you, then great. Fantastic. But if you wake up in the morning feeling grateful, if you wake up in the morning feeling blessed, if you wake up in the morning with a plan to get things done, even with debt, even with bills, even with crying and screaming kids, you're allowed to be human, right? You're allowed to have, to make mistakes. But now is the time, if you're on holiday and have the time, or you're off work and have the time, is to sit down with yourself. Don't show anyone, keep it to yourself, and write down all the things that are preventing you from having, a healthy mental health. Healthy mental health. That makes no sense. Having healthy emotional health. That doesn't sound right either. Having emotional needs that you are meeting for yourself. Take a real honest look at yourself. If you can do that and be brutally honest with yourself, then you're closer to really being that actualized human And again, you don't have to, walk on water and go to Ojai and live, amongst the monks, on a commune somewhere. You don't need to do any of that. You can be in the Bronx, or you can be in Boise, Idaho, or wherever you are, and still live a self-actualized life where you are taking responsibility for all the obstacles that you create and all the conflicts that happen and all the challenges that come forward in your life. Instead of looking at it as, oh, woe is me, this is I'm never going to be successful, I'm never going to be happy, I'm never going to be fulfilled, I'm never going to be out of debt, I'm never, blah, 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 blah. That's what I'm talking about. That's not healthy. And what happens is trauma changes the brain chemistry. We know this. Neuroscientists have been studying this for decades. But our brain is a neuroplastic organ. We ultimately can change what we focus on, our locus of control, the smart people call it, and shift our mindset from what is going wrong and what current predicament I'm in, to finding solutions to the obstacles and issues that I'm currently swimming in my life. If you talk to people that have resilience, if you talk to people that have survived wars, like Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps and wrote this brilliant book called Man's Search for Meaning, and you ask these people about how did they survive these things that you and I can't even comprehend. I mean, mass murder, genocide, their families being wiped out. They will tell you their emotional health came first, even if they were in Auschwitz or Dachau, or they were in the Srebrenica massacre in 1992 in the Balkans. And the way they did that is they found meaning and purpose in even the small little things in life, and they were forward thinking that every little thing they did had meaning. Even in the concentration camp, people in the concentration camp, those that survived the camps had really a very self-aware understanding of the world, felt that had meaning and purpose, and were forward thinking to the next day, thinking about the next day, and despite how hard it was, despite the terrible conditions and the disease and the death around them, they had true agency over how they felt about themselves, about their meaning and purpose in life. A lot of these people that did survive, like Viktor Frankl, who was a brilliant psychiatrist in Vienna, had meaning and purpose before they went into the camps and knew who they were, knew themselves. And when they were introduced to a very catastrophic, chaotic, and tough environment like the concentration camps, took that with them and found meaning in everything. In every activity or everything they did in the camps, they felt they had meaning and purpose, and they looked forward to the next day with meaning and purpose, even though that their days were numbered and tomorrow could be the last day of their life. That's truly where you start the blueprint, where you begin that blueprint for 2019, how you can really kind of catalyze a really healthy mental health plan for your own emotional well-being for 2019. That's truly what it is to be a conscious curator of your own emotional well-being. I'm going to end it with that. I think it's a lot for y'all to digest. I'm sorry that the thing cut off. I think it was my Wi-Fi signal. I apologize to those of you who got cut off. Again, this is up on my my live feed for 24 hours. It's an honor and a privilege to do this for all of you, for you in the nosebleed seats. You can check out my services, what I do, how I help my clients get out of their own way and be a conscious curator of their success in their life when they're going through major life challenges. Go to my website, www.solutionist180.com. You can hit the DM button on my page and we can have a chat and see if my services can be helpful for you. And again, I hope this has been helpful as a jumping off point for a successful, healthy, and happy new year. And be safe tomorrow night, and I will see you in the new year. We're going to do this next week. A brand new New Year's 2019 IGTV Live with yours truly. My name is Sam Led. I am a trauma and mindset coach here in Santa Barbara, California. And don't give up, everybody. Think about it.